everyone and welcome back. It's Gina from orchidandopal.com, and today I am back with another tutorial from the contents of the recent Ethereal Opal collection, which I helped to curate along with Eureka Crystal beads. Some of you have been able to get your hands on that collection, but at this time it may be sold out. However, you can still get your hands on these materials separately. I'll leave the links, the list, and the quantities of everything you'll need right below the video if you'd like to make one of these pendants. And Eureka Crystal Beads also has these faux opal oval cabochons in several different colors, not just this one that you see here. So feel free to get adventurous with your color choices. As you can see, we'll be using a 13 by 18 oval cabochon, some 4mm round beads, 3mm fire polish, size 8 Toho DEMI round seed beads, size 11 round seed beads, and also some size 11 Delica beads. I happen to have this coordinating ribbon from my stash, which pairs nicely with the pendant, but you could also make yourself a beaded rope, attach this to another type of cording that you may already have. And to weave this together today, I'll be using some 6-pound test Fireline as my beading thread. And besides that, you'll just need your scissors and a bead mat. So to get started, go ahead and thread your beading needle with a comfortable length of beading thread, and we can jump into this tutorial. To create this bezel, we want to first begin by picking up 40 of our size 11 Delica beads, and we're then going to be working these in tubular peyote stitch. But just go ahead and pick up 40 and slide those down onto your beading thread, leaving yourself about a 5-inch tail, something that you'll be weaving back in a little bit to get it out of the way. Once you have 40 of these on your thread, then go ahead and sew through all of these beads again to start to form these into a loop. Plus sew through that first one again. And now we have this loop formed, which is going to be the basis for our tubular peyote stitch. And we're going to add 3 rows of that onto this ring. So of course, what we want to do first is pick up a bead and then skip the next one and then sew through the next. Pick up a bead, skip the next one, sew through the next. You'll do this all the way around, and then you'll step up and complete 2 more rows. And you can see how these beads are starting to stack just like this on this first row. I'm going to keep going, then I'll meet you back at the step up. And when you get to the end of your first row, you'll just pick up your bead like you normally would and skip the next bead, go through the next, and pop that bead into place, and then step up by sewing through the next bead that is sticking out. And then we'll continue our next row, picking up a bead, going through the one that's sticking out, and continuing to do that all the way around. And then we're going to step up one more time and do 1 more row. So do 2 rows on top of this of your tubular peyote, and then we'll meet back. And welcome back. This is what you should have so far. And this is a good time to add a needle to your tail thread and weave that back into your bezel just to get it out of the way. So I'm going to do that right now, and then I'll meet you right back. All right, now for our next step, you want to be coming out of one of these beads that's sticking out on one side of your bezel. We're going to pick up one Delica, and this time we're going to sew through the next two that are sticking out. And do that all the way around. So again, pick up one Delica and sew directly through the next two Delicas that are sticking out. And we're on our last one, picking one up and sewing through the next two. And then we can step up by going through the next bead that's sticking up. And you can pull this a little bit tighter. And you'll see now you have something that looks a little bit like this. And at this time, you can pull out your size 11-0 round seed beads. And we're going to pick two of them up and then go through the next Delica that's sticking out at the peak. And do that all the way around, picking up two seed beads and then going through the next Delica that is sticking out at the peak. Now that your seed beads are in place, go ahead and sew around all of those beads in that ring at least one more time to reinforce them. So I'm coming out of that Delica and I'm just going to continue through the two seed beads, the next Delica, and then the two seed beads and Delica, and keep going all the way around just to tighten this section up. And now you want to follow your thread path to the other side of the bezel. So I'm coming out of this Delica and I'll go straight through the next two, and then I'll turn around and go back through these. So I'm coming out of one that is sticking up. And we want to position our thread so it's coming out of a Delica that's right before the peak that we made on the other side, because we want to match that on this side. So I'm coming out right there, and that way when we pick up another Delica and we sew through the next two on this side, our peaks of Delicas will match. So we have the peak on this side and then directly across from it on the other side. So just like we did before, let's pick up a Delica and sew through the next two. And we're going to do that all the way around again, this time on the top. And then next you can step up and go through the Delica at the peak. Now you'll want to be using your 3mm fire polish beads. We're going to pick one up and then go through the next Delica at the peak and add one of these in between each of those Delica beads that is sticking out. And do that all the way around the piece. And then when you get to your last one, you can go through the Delica and step up through the next fire polish bead. Now we'll be using our round seed beads again, and I'm coming out of this 3mm fire polish bead, and we're going to pick up 2 of our round seed beads, and then look in this next column of Delicas. See how there's 4 in that section. We don't want to go directly through the one on the top. We want to go through the next one down. And that is sitting in between those 2 fire polish. Then pick up 2 more round seed beads and go through the next fire polish bead. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but we have added in 2 seed beads here. We're going through the Delica, and then we have 2 seed beads here, and we're going through the next fire polish. So we're creating these groups of 2 round seed beads in between each of the fire polish all the way around our piece. So once again, pick up 2 seed beads, go through the Delica that's in between those fire polish, that's the next one down, pick up 2 seed beads, and go through the next fire polish. And repeat this all the way around so you have those little stripes of seed beads that go around the piece. We'll do another one together. 2 seed beads, so through the Delica, that's the next one down, pop that into place, pick up 2 seed beads, and then sew directly through the next fire polish. So keep doing that all the way around, and then we will meet back. And this is what your bezel should look like so far. And if you haven't already, you can go ahead and pop in your stone, and those 3mm will be on the top. You can just put one side in gently and just move those fire polish over the top and kind of form that around the stone. Just like that, and you're going to have one of your fire polish centered at the top and one centered at the bottom. And there's what the back looks like. Now what you'll want to do is sew down through the next 2 round seed beads. I'm coming out of that fire polish right now. And at this time, you'll be using some of your pearls. I'm going to pick up one of those beads and then sew up through the next 2 round seed beads that are located on the other side of the fire polish. And then I'll pull that. Then sew down through the next 2 seed beads, pick up a pearl, and sew up through the next 2 seed beads on the other side, and just keep repeating this all the way around. So down the next 2 seed beads, pick up your pearl, and sew up the next 2. Keep doing that, and then I will meet you back for the next step. And once you've done that, and you're coming out of these 2 seed beads right here, you can go down the next 2, and then sew directly through that next pearl. Now pick up 1 DEMI, 1 fire polish, and 1 DEMI, and sew through your next pearl bead. So once again, pick up 1 DEMI, 1 fire polish, and 1 DEMI, and sew through the next pearl. Keep doing that all the way around. Once you've done that, you can then sew through the next demi, fire polish, and demi, and then sew up through those 2 seed beads that are on the side. And continue by sewing through that next fire polish bead that's on the top. So I'm coming out of this fire polish and I'm going to pick up a Delica, a seed bead, and a Delica and sew through the next fire polish. And we'll repeat that all the way around. So once again, Delica, seed bead, Delica, and sew through the next fire polish on the top. Next, you can sew through the Delica and the seed bead that you get to next. Then pick up 2 of your seed beads and look down to your next 4mm and sew through that one, right through that pearl that comes next. Then pick up 2 seed beads and sew through the seed bead at that next peak that you had just added in between those 2 fire polish at the top. And repeat this all the way around. So once again, pick up 2 seed beads, go through the next pearl down there only, pick up 2 seed beads again, and go through that seed bead in the center of that picot that comes next. Repeat this all the way around, and then we will meet back for the next steps. And this is what you should have so far. Here's a close-up look at everything and how everything looks around the bezel. And we're going to continue with a few more steps. I'm currently coming out of the seed bead here at the corner in the center, and I'm going to proceed down through those next 2. And then I'm going to sew through the next demi, fire polish, and demi that are down there. And I'm going to pick up 2 Delicas and then sew through the next demi, fire polish, and demi. So we skipped over the pearl. And by the way, I had to add some more thread on, so I've got another little tail thread right here. But we're going to repeat this all the way around now, picking up 2 Delicas, skipping the pearl, and going through the next demi, fire polish, and demi round. Just like that. Picking up 2, skipping the pearl, going through the next 3 beads around the side. Keep doing that, and I will meet you right back. Next, you can continue by sewing through the next 2 Delicas. Then pick up 1 Delica and sew through the next fire polish. Now pick up one Delica and sew through the next two Delicas. Do that all the way around. So once again, pick up a Delica and sew through the next fire polish. Pick up a Delica and sew through the next two Delicas. Keep doing that all the way around and I'll meet you back again. And once you've done that, you can then proceed by sewing through that next Delica. And then we're going to sew in 3 of the round seed beads in between each of those sections. So pick up your 3 round seed beads, then sew through the next 4 Delicas. And repeat all the way around. And that's going to frame out those 3mm fire polish beads. Pick up 3 seed beads and sew through the next 4 Delica beads. Three seed beads and through the next 4 Delicas. Keep doing that all the way around, and when we meet back, we're going to be making a simple bail to help put all this together. And welcome back again. If you're coming out of the Delica that is off to the right of the top center pearl, that is where you want to be coming out to create this simple bail. And of course, the top and the bottom are going to look exactly the same until we add that bail on. But if you're coming out of that Delica, you can pick up one of your 11-0 seed beads, pick up a pearl, and then pick up 11 of your seed beads. Go ahead and string those down. And then take your needle and sew down through that 4mm bead again. And just pull this down to your beadwork. That's going to form this loop. And then you're going to want to pick up one of your 11-0s. And this time sew through those 4 Delicas at the top, going from the other direction to bring this all together. Got to go through one more. Then sew up through the seed bead and the 4mm again. And I'm going to add a total of 3 loops at the top, so let's make our second loop, and again we'll use 11 seed beads. Pull those down, and then return through the 4mm bead. So that's 2 loops. Then you can go around these beads again. I'm going down through the single seed bead, through the 4 Delicas again, then up through the single seed bead and the 4mm. And I'll pick up 11 more seed beads. Pull those down. And then one more time, go down through the 4mm bead. And now we've got our 3 loops there at the top. And I'm going to proceed down through the single seed bead. And finally, just continue on weaving my thread in and tying several half-hitch knots along the way to secure it before I trim off the excess. And that wraps it up for another tutorial. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm so glad you're here, and I can't wait to hear if you decide to make this or give it a try. Feel free to leave me a comment down below. I always love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a big thumbs up and subscribe while you're here, and don't forget to share it with your other bead-loving friends. As a reminder, the entire list of materials will be linked right down below the video, and the quantities will be provided as well. You can find everything you need at Eureka Crystal Beads. Even if you can't get your hands on the Ethereal Opal box, you can pick out all these items separately in a number of different color combinations. And that is all I have for now. Until next time, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And as always, happy beading.